All right, welcome to Fanatics Football, the football segment of the Fantasy Fanatics Podcast. I'm your host once again, James, and I'm joined once again by Nate and Mete. What's up, guys?
So,
How's it going?
All right, in today's episode, we're going to recap all of the games from week 2. We'll just talk about some of the stats and some of the teams. Then we'll move into our weekly pickups for fantasy football. And then we'll take a look at the fantasy preview and I guess just picks for all the games in week 3. So let's just get right into it. Start with the Thursday night game from week 2. It was the Washington football team beating the New York Giants by 1 point, 30-29. It's a pretty nail biter of a game. I guess just looking at some of the stats, we'll start with Washington. Taylor Heineke, really solid, 336 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. In terms of rushing, Antonio Gibson, 13 carries for 69 yards, and J.D. McKissic had 4 carries for 10 yards and a touchdown. And then in terms of receiving, Terry McLaurin, big game, 11 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. J.D. McKissic, 5 catches, 83 yards. And Logan Thomas, 5 catches for 45 yards, with Adam Humphries adding 7 catches for 44 yards. Ricky Seals-Jones, his only catch finds the end zone for a touchdown, and it was for 19 yards. So I guess, Mete, I'll start with you. What do you think about Washington in this game?
Yeah, I thought they played a pretty solid game. Heineke was really good. Gibson was decent. McLaurin had an amazing game. McKissic as well, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they got kind of lucky here. This drop by Darius Slayton in the fourth quarter, and then the offsides on the missed field goal, allowing them to re-kick and win the game. Yeah, I thought they were kind of lucky, but they got the job done. So
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do to get the win, and they did just that. And I guess just getting to the Giants, they had a pretty good game as well. Daniel Jones, 249 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He also had 9 carries for 95 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So really solid game for him. Saquon Barkley, 13 carries for 57 yards on the ground. And then moving to receiving, Sterling Shepard, 9 catches, 94 yards and a touch and no touchdown, but Darius Slayton had the touchdown on his 3 catches for 54 yards. Kenny Golladay adding 3 catches for 38 yards as well. And yeah, Nate, just getting to you, this Giants team was so close to getting the win, but it just kind of slipped out of their hands.
yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. I think they did pretty well considering how good Washington's defense is. So I guess it's a little bit disappointing, but I wouldn't say it's like a bad loss specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really tough for them. They started 0-2 at least like the last 5 seasons. So they just really can't get off the ground really well to start each season. So hopefully they will be able to turn it around next week against Atlanta. But let's just move to the next game. The other New York team was playing the New York Jets, but they got beat by the New England Patriots 25-6. I'm just really happy the Patriots got their first win of the season after losing a nail biter last week to Miami. Mac Jones played really well. He didn't have to do much, though, only 186 passing yards for him. On the ground, Damian Harris, 16 carries, 62 yards and a touchdown. James White, 5 carries for 20 yards and a touchdown. And then through the air, James White, 6 catches for 45 yards. Hunter Henry adding 2 catches for 42 yards. And both Jacoby Myers and Jonnu Smith had 4 catches. Myers had 38 yards and Jonnu Smith had 28. But Nate, just getting to you, I guess, what's your opinion on the Patriots in this game?
I think they played pretty well. They did what they had to do. I feel like this was more of like a low scoring game. So I feel like you got to give credit to their defense as well.
Yeah, their defense just played really solid. 4 interceptions off of Zach Wilson. I guess, Mete, I'll just get to you on the Jets. Once again, I'm not getting the passing totals. I guess just give me Zach Wilson's passing totals.
yeah, he went 19 for 33, 210 yards, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. So like you said, 4 interceptions, that's not going to cut it, especially against a good defense. Yeah, I don't have much to say about Wilson. He had a really rough game. If he didn't have all these interceptions, they probably could have maybe even won this game. Their defense did a solid job holding the Patriots to only 25 points, but the turnovers really killed them there.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying here. I know the Patriots don't normally win by large scores. This was a pretty large separation of score, but yeah, there wasn't really much on the ground either. Michael Carter, 11 carries for 59 yards. Ty Johnson, 12 carries for 50. And then I guess in terms of receiving, Braxton Berrios was the main guy with 7 catches for 73 yards. Elijah Moore had 4 catches for 47 yards. And then there really wasn't much else from anyone in this offense. And yeah, it's a great win for the Patriots to sort of get back on their feet. And I guess the Jets have a lot of work to do, I guess, just moving forward with their team. But I guess just moving on to the next game, it was the Denver Broncos beating the Jacksonville Jaguars by a score of 23-13. Just getting to Denver's stats here, Teddy Bridgewater, 328 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 13 carries for 64 yards. Melvin Gordon also with 13 carries for only 31 yards. And then in terms of receiving, Cortland Sutton, 9 catches for 159 yards. He had an amazing game. Melvin Gordon, 2 catches, went for 38 yards. And then 2 touchdown scores here. Tim Patrick, 3 catches, 37 yards and a touchdown. And then Noah Fant, 4 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. I guess, Mete, getting to you about this Broncos team, they've looked really solid to start this season.
Yeah, definitely they have, but I'm going to kind of discredit them a bit. They've played the Jaguars and the Giants so far, so it's two easy matchups, but I mean, it's not their fault. They play who they're scheduled to play against, and like you said, they've looked really good. I like how the offense is looking with Teddy Bridgewater. Just looks very smooth and way better than how they looked with Drew Lock.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have the New York Jets next week. So there's another matchup that's really favorable for them. This team could get off to a really hot start and potentially get into the playoffs this year. I guess just getting to the Jaguars now, Trevor Lawrence, 118 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. On the ground, James Robinson, 11 carries for 47 yards. Trevor Lawrence also carried twice for 21 yards. And then in terms of receiving, Marvin Jones, 6 catches, 55 yards and a touchdown. James O'Shaughnessy, 1 catch for 24 yards. And then James Robinson, 3 catches for 17 yards. But there really wasn't much. This team really just could not get off the ground against this Denver defense. I guess, Nate, getting to you, what do you think about the Jaguars so far this season?
It's been a pretty rough start. They haven't been able to, I guess, play how maybe they could have played. I mean, this is a pretty new offense, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But um, Denver also has a really good defense, and I guess Trevor Lawrence is still kind of shaking, but he's still trying to adjust to the NFL. So that could be a factor as well.
Yeah, they look pretty much similar to the team that was playing last year, where they only won one game. And yeah, they're already 0-2. They're already in a hole early, so they really got to sort of dig their way out. Hopefully, Trevor Lawrence can just, I guess, keep looking better every game and hopefully get a win soon. But we'll move to the next game. Yeah, this was a rough game to watch. Buffalo Bills 35, the Miami Dolphins 0. Obviously, we all know about the Tua Tagovailoa injury for the Dolphins, which is pretty rough. But we'll start with the Bills stats here. Josh Allen, 179 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns with 1 interception. On the ground, he also had 5 carries for 35 yards. Devin Singletary rushed 13 times for 82 yards and a touchdown. So great game for him. Zach Moss in his return, 8 carries, 26 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he really, I guess his presence was felt in this game. Stephon Diggs, 4 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders, 2 catches for 48 yards. Cole Beasley, 4 catches for 36 yards. And Dawson Knox, 2 catches, 17 yards and a touchdown. Nate, getting to you on Buffalo. Aside from the Tua injury, I mean, this team looked good in this game.
Yeah, they looked good on both offense and defense. I noticed that in the second quarter, they weren't really able to score, but they more than made up for it in all the other quarters.
Yeah, probably just because the game, it was pretty much out of reach. They kind of just they didn't need to push the gas too much. I think they should be fine going forward. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett comes into the game to play quarterback for the Dolphins. He throws for 169 yards and an interception. Miles Gaskin had 5 carries for 25 yards, so not much there. Malcolm Brown, 5 carries for 21 yards. Really nothing on the ground here. Through the air, Jalen Waddle, 6 catches, 48 yards. Devontae Parker, 5 catches for 42 yards. And Mike Gesicki had 3 catches for 41 yards, but really nothing else here. Obviously, they got shut out. Mete, there's not really much more to say, I think.
Yeah, I'll just say that I feel like Brissett was just thrown into a horrible situation where they're trailing by so much already that they couldn't even run the ball, so they had to throw 40 times with him. And I honestly thought he didn't look too bad. It's just when they got near midfield or past it, the offense stalled out and they weren't able to get into field goal range or anything. And when they were, it was just too late, so they just went for it. And yeah, rough game for the Dolphins.
Yeah, hopefully, when Brissett starts next game, which is it's looking like that's going to be the case, it'll just be more relaxed. The offense can sort of plan it out better, and hopefully he should have a better game. But let's just move to the next game. San Francisco 49ers beating the Philadelphia Eagles 17-11. 49ers stats: Jimmy Garoppolo, 189 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He also had 11 carries in this game, which is not normal for Garoppolo. He added 20 yards and a rushing touchdown, so good game for him. Uh, Eli Mitchell, 17 carries for 42 yards. JaMychal Hasty, 5 carries for 38 yards. And then in terms of receiving, Deebo Samuel, 6 catches, 93 yards. He's had a great year so far. JaMychal Hasty, 4 catches, 21 yards, and George Kittle, 4 catches for 17 yards. Juwan Jennings adding 2 catches for 17 yards and a touchdown. Mete, I'll get to you on the 49ers actually. This game, I mean, it was close. But yeah, they're 2-0 to start the season. What do you think about this team?
Yeah, I think that they're looking great. Really good defensive performance from them this game. Um, I still would like to see Trey Lance start over Garoppolo. Even though they're 2-0. It's just something about Garoppolo I'm not the biggest fan of. I think he's a good game manager, but he's nothing more than that. And so, yeah, I feel like with Trey Lance, the offense could uh just have a higher potential and play so much better.
Yeah, I agree with all your points. I just don't see them moving on from Garoppolo the way he's been playing lately, especially with his work on the ground. Definitely something that Trey Lance does as well. So, I mean, if they're getting it from Garoppolo, they're going to leave him in unless there's an injury or something for sure. Just getting to the Eagles now. Yeah, you talked about the 49ers defense. Jalen Hurts, 12 for 23 in terms of pass attempts, only 190 passing yards. He did get a rushing touchdown and 82 yards on 10 carries. Miles Sanders had 13 carries for 55 yards. Quez Watkins had a big game, 2 catches for 117 yards. I think one was like a 90-yard grab or something crazy like that. Dallas Goedert, 2 catches for 24 yards. And then there really wasn't much else. The defense pretty much held this Eagles team in check. But Nate, just getting to you, I guess, what are the Eagles looking like so far?
I guess they're looking okay. I mean, San Francisco defense is another really tough defense to play against, so can't really be too hard on Jalen Hurts. But on the other hand, I guess even though they're still developing, you want to still, I guess, keep competitive with these kind of teams. And I think they did a pretty good job of that. The difference was only like about a score. So again, it's not too bad of a job.
Yeah, like you said, they kept it within a score. The game was close. That's what you want. I think this Eagles team has looked like one of the better teams in their division. We'll have to see, of course, this coming week when they start playing divisional games, how they look. But yeah, like you said, they haven't looked too bad to start the season so far. But Let's move to the next game here. The LA Rams going into Indianapolis, defeating the Colts 27-24. Matthew Stafford, 278 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Daryl Henderson, 13 carries on the ground, 53 yards and a touchdown. Sony Michel added 10 carries for 46 yards. And then in terms of receiving, Cooper Kupp, this guy has just been amazing first 2 weeks of the season. 9 catches, 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods adding 5 catches for 64 yards. Daryl Henderson adding 3 catches for 29 yards. But yeah, I guess I'll just get to you, Nate, on the Rams. This team's off to a really hot start.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, this team is a really deep playoff team, and it looks like they're playing like that. I mean, the Colts on paper are also really good as well, but they were able to get the win, which is really good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the Colts being a good team as well. They haven't started out well, 0-2. Can't blame them. They played two tough games early on. Carson Wentz played well, though, 247 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He did have an interception. I think it was sort of on a shovel pass. It was sort of a play that didn't go right, I think, and then he threw that. But other than that, he played really well. Adding 5 carries on the ground for 37 yards. Also, Jonathan Taylor, 15 carries on the ground for 51 yards. And then through the air, Michael Pittman, 8 catches, 123 yards, really solid. Jack Doyle, 5 catches for 64 yards. Zach Pascal, 5 catches, 38 yards and a touchdown. And then not too much from the rest of this team. Mete, just getting to you on the Colts. Yeah, they started 0-2. I guess if Wentz plays the next game, do you see them having a shot of getting a win?
Um, who are they playing against?
I think they're playing the Titans.
Okay, so that's a good question. Titans, they did have a rough week 1, but they had a pretty nice rebound week 2. Oh, that's a close one. I might have to go with the Titans, honestly, but they definitely have a chance to win that game for sure. Speaking of this Rams and Colts game, I feel like the turning point was when Wentz wasn't able to come out for the final or second final drive,
Yeah.
where Eason just comes into the game and first throw of the game, he turns it over. There was an interception to Ramsey, and yeah, it was pretty much it at that point. They definitely had a chance to win this game, but it was unfortunate how it went down at the end for them.
Yeah, like just seeing that drive beforehand, like how Pittman and the tight end Jack Doyle, they were just making insane catches. Yeah, Wentz definitely could have taken this team down the field again, potentially either tied the game or gotten a touchdown to win. But then, yeah, like you mentioned, Jacob Eason, it was a tough read for him. I definitely wouldn't have been throwing to Jalen Ramsey if I couldn't help it. But yeah, a tough loss for them. They definitely are a solid team. The Colts have just been pretty banged up to start this season. Once they get healthier, they should definitely start winning games, in my opinion. Just getting to another team that was banged up this week, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost to the Las Vegas Raiders 26-17. A lot of players out for this game for Pittsburgh. They just really didn't have a chance to win this game, in my opinion. I'll look at the stats for the Raiders. Derek Carr, insane game, 382 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. And then Peyton Barber, 13 carries on the ground for 32 yards. And then through the air, Henry Ruggs, 5 catches, 113 yards and a touchdown. Darren Waller, 5 catches for 65 yards. Hunter Renfrow, 5 catches, 57 yards. Kenyon Drake also had 5 catches for 46 yards. And then Foster Moreau had 2 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. Mete, I'll get to you on this Raiders team. 2-0 to start the year. This is a big surprise for this team.
Yeah, definitely big surprise, especially if you're considering their competition. They beat the Ravens week 1 and now the Steelers week 2. So they're beating good teams. And what I was saying before the season started was that I always thought Raiders had a good offense. I just wasn't really confident in their defense. And so for them to play like this, their defensive line has looked amazing, especially Max Crosby. So yeah, they look pretty legit this year. I think they could make the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That whole division looks pretty solid, to be honest. But just getting to Pittsburgh now, Ben Roethlisberger, 295 yards and a passing touchdown, also one interception. On the ground, Najee Harris had 10 carries for 38 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had a carry for 3 yards that was for a touchdown. And then in terms of receiving, Deontay Johnson, 9 catches and 105 receiving yards. Chase Claypool, 3 catches for 70 yards. Najee Harris, 5 catches, 43 yards and a touchdown. And then Juju adding 6 catches for 41 yards. Nate, this Steelers team was banged up. I guess, what do you think of them if they get healthy? Do you think they're a good team, or do you think this game is a sign of things to come?
I wouldn't say this is a sign of things to come just yet, considering the Raiders, I think are very underrated. I mean, they did also beat Baltimore, so there's that to consider as well. But I guess the Steelers would be better if they were fully healthy, but I feel like this isn't really like the same Steelers team from a few years ago. So I guess they might not be able to play to their full potential, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, not just a few years ago, even last season, they started off really hot, 11 wins, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff for them. So definitely we have to see, TJ Watt's got to be healthy. A lot of the other players that were out for this game, they definitely need to come in and sort of play a big role for them. I think Devin Bush didn't play as well. Joe Hayden also. So a lot of their starters on defense didn't play, and then Derek Carr sort of picked apart this defense. So yeah, hopefully they can come back a lot stronger for next game. But let's just move on to the next game. Chicago Bears beating the Cincinnati Bengals 20-17. Andy Dalton getting hurt. He started off with 56 passing yards and a passing touchdown. Justin Fields comes in. He throws for 60 yards and an interception. So not the way he wants to start out. Hopefully he can have a better game. On the ground, he wasn't too bad. 10 carries for 31 rushing yards. David Montgomery, 20 carries for 61 rushing yards. And then in terms of receiving, Darnell Mooney, 6 catches, 66 yards. Allen Robinson, 2 catches for 24 yards and a touchdown. And David Montgomery, 3 catches for 18 yards. And Nate, just getting to you on the Bears, they really needed this win and they got it. What do you think about this team going forward with Justin Fields?
I guess I'm hoping that Justin Fields will be able to, I guess, live up to his potential as a really good rookie. But I guess we've seen, like, for example, with like Trevor Lawrence, even with Zach Wilson, it may or may not happen. Obviously, with Mac Jones, he's been doing pretty well, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely have to see. I think he might be more comfortable. I know Mete was saying quarterbacks getting thrown in isn't always the best thing. If you have a week to prepare him as a starter, I feel like he will come out a lot better for next game. And then we'll just get to the Bengals now. Joe Burrow, 207 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Those 3 interceptions, I saw them. They really didn't look great. He just wasn't seeing the field as well this week as he was last week. In terms of rushing, Joe Mixon, 20 carries, 69 yards on the ground. Receiving, Tyler Boyd, 7 catches, 73 receiving yards. T. Higgins, 6 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. And Jamar Chase, 2 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Mete, I'll get to you on the Bengals. I guess, what are your thoughts on this team?
Yeah, this is kind of like a fallback to reality for them. They had a amazing win week 1 against the Vikings, and then they actually get really close to winning here at the end. They were down 20-3, I feel like, with like 5 minutes to go. They got 2 quick scores, and yeah, they fall 3 points short, but I think they're a young team, and like I said, it's a fallback to reality. I think they'll have a rough season, but they're definitely better than what everyone thought they would be. So I think they could be competitive in a lot of games.
Yeah, they're definitely better than they were last year. The only problem is their division's very tough. I still see the other 3 teams in the division being higher than them, the Browns, Steelers, and Ravens. So definitely going to be tough for them to make any moves in that division. But let's get to the next game. Speaking of the Browns, they got a good win, 31-21 against the Houston Texans. Baker Mayfield, 213 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He also throws a pick. On the ground, Nick Chubb, 11 carries, 95 yards and a touchdown. He's so efficient with his carries. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries for 51 yards. And then both Baker Mayfield and Andy Janovich get rushing touchdowns. So solid game on the ground for the Browns. In terms of receiving, Demetric Felton, 2 catches, 51 yards and a touchdown. So big game for him. Harrison Bryant, 4 catches, 49 yards. Austin Hooper, 5 catches and 40 yards. And then obviously Jarvis Landry, only 1 catch for 9 yards as he goes down with an injury. Nate, I'll just get to you on your team, the Browns. I guess, what are your thoughts about them for this game?
They looked pretty good, but I mean, considering I feel like the Texans were kind of underrated this year as well. So, but even with that, I would still have liked the Browns to do, I guess, maybe just a little bit better, even though I'd say this was a really successful game.
Yeah, considering how well Tyrod Taylor was playing before he went down, he went 10 for 11 complete in terms of completions, 125 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He was playing out of his mind. He got hurt. Davis Mills comes in, the rookie. He only goes 8 for 18, 102 yards. He does throw 1 touchdown, but also has an interception. On the ground, Mark Ingram, 14 carries, 41 yards. David Johnson, 6 carries for 25 yards. And Tyrod Taylor also adds a rushing touchdown on his 15-yard carry. So, yeah, like I mentioned, Tyrod Taylor basically forced 2 touchdowns all by himself. This game was as close as it would get. And then Davis Mills comes in, and then the game just sort of runs away from them. Brandon Cooks, 9 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. Andre Roberts, 1 catch, 35 yards. Nico Collins, 1 catch for 32 yards. And Philip Lindsay, 1 catch, 22 yards and a touchdown. Mete, I'll get to you on the Texans. Do they have any chance moving forward with Davis Mills as their starting quarterback?
I don't think so, unless they have a good matchup. But yeah, he didn't look the greatest, but like I said, he was thrown into a bad situation, so maybe we give him a second chance. And he's starting tomorrow, I think, against the Carolina Panthers. So yeah, we can see how he does in a full game. And Nate, I don't want to be that guy, but I think if Tyrod Taylor stayed in this game, the Texans honestly might have won this game. They were looking really good with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably just an opportunity for Cleveland to sort of, not feel too good about this game. They can't they could use that as some sort of motivation to get better. I think that's definitely something they got to think about. I guess speaking of the Carolina Panthers, they got a big win over the New Orleans Saints, 26-7. I know the Saints, they had some coaches missing in this game, COVID protocols, and I guess the Panthers took advantage of it. Just sort of looking at the stats here, Sam Darnold, 305 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He played pretty solid in this game. Christian McCaffrey on the ground, 24 carries, 72 yards and a rushing touchdown. And then in terms of receiving, DJ Moore, 8 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. McCaffrey added 5 catches for 65 yards. Dan Arnold, 3 catches, 55 yards. And Brandon Zylstra, I think you say his name, 3 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Robbie Anderson adding 3 catches for 38 yards as well. Might as well just get to you on this, Mete. Carolina Panthers, they started 2-0. What do you think of this team so far?
Yeah, good start from them. They do beat the Jets week 1 and then Saints week 2, which is a good team. But like you said, they were missing a lot of coaches. And honestly, I completely forgot about that. So yeah, they just took advantage of the situation. And yeah, great win for them.
Yeah, for sure. I guess just moving to the Saints now. Jameis Winston comes back to earth, his usual self, 111 passing yards and 2 interceptions. Maybe that eye surgery didn't really help him out, but yeah, he's got to be a little less reckless. On the ground, though, he did add a rushing touchdown on 3 carries for 19 yards. Really not much else in terms of rushing because Kamara only had 5 rushing yards on 8 carries. And yeah, in terms of receiving, only 4 catches for Kamara for 25 yards. It was just really tough overall. Lil Jordan Humphrey, one catch for 27 yards. And then I guess most of the rest of this team, they just had 1 catch each. Chris Hogan, Juwan Johnson, Deontay Harris. Like, just really wasn't a good game for the Saints offense. Nate, just getting to you, I guess, what can this offense, I guess, do moving forward to sort of play better?
It's kind of hard to say because there was the factor of not really having a proper coaching staff during the game. I guess one thing to start would be having a better completion rate. Don't throw too many interceptions. Other than that, it's kind of hard to see overall because Carolina more or less shut down their entire offense. So it's not like there was any like one thing that was lacking. And I guess the lack of the coaching staff kind of hurt them a little bit too.
Yeah, there was that one pass to Deontay Harris where he just kind of chucked it up in the air, almost like trying to throw it as far as he could, and he didn't really estimate the yardage, and he threw it really short, and it was a pretty easy interception for the Panthers. So I guess Winston has to just keep an eye that he doesn't do that too much. Getting to a high scoring game here, the Cardinals beating the Vikings 34-33. They win because the Vikings miss a field goal in the last minute of the game. It's a crazy ending to this game. Let's just get to the stats for the Cardinals first. Kyler Murray, 400 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He's been playing out of his mind this season. Chase Edmonds, 8 carries, 46 rushing yards. Kyler Murray adding 5 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. And then Rondell Moore, in terms of receiving, he had 7 catches, 114 yards and a touchdown. Max Williams, 7 catches, 94 yards. Christian Kirk, 3 catches for 65 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 catches, 54 yards and a touchdown. And then AJ Green, 3 catches for 44 yards. Also a receiving touchdown. Nate, let me get to you on this Cardinals team. 2-0. They win this close game. What do you think about this team?
This team is looking really solid. The Vikings, they're a really good team as well. Unfortunately, they've been having really close losses, and this is another really close loss. But yeah, Kyler Murray, he's really good at generating offense, and his ability to run and to pass is like opening everybody up on the team. So it's really hard to stop a team like Arizona when they can kind of just generate offense whenever they want.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned this Vikings team. Yeah, they're a good team, but they started 0-2, losing 2 tight games. Looking at their passing, Kirk Cousins, 244 yards through the air and 3 passing touchdowns. He actually played really solid in this game. Dalvin Cook, 22 carries, 131 rushing yards. So a good game for him. And then in terms of receiving, KJ Osborne, 5 catches, 91 yards and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Adam Thielen, 6 catches, 39 yards and a touchdown. And Dalvin Cook getting 2 catches for 17 yards. Mete, getting to you on this Vikings team. 2 close losses. I guess just what do you think about this team?
Yeah, 2 heartbreaking losses for sure. I think they're solid. It's just they're losing at the last second. So they're definitely in games. They can win them, and they just got to tighten up on defense. Cousins has looked good. Cook just had a great game, but he gets hurt at the end. So we'll have to see if he's going to play next week, and hopefully he will. It's a great running back, one of the best in the league. And yeah, to recap or re-answer your question, yeah, I think they're a solid team. They're just getting unlucky at the end of games right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. This Vikings team did look good. I think Dalvin Cook should be okay for next game because he did come back in this game after he got injured. He re-entered and he continued to play. So yeah, hopefully he is ready to go for next game. All right, getting to the next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a big win, 48-25 over the Atlanta Falcons. Tom Brady, 276 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Big game. In terms of rushing, Leonard Fournette, 11 carries, 52 yards. Ronald Jones, 6 carries for 27 yards. And then in terms of receiving, Mike Evans, 5 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Rob Gronkowski, 4 catches, 39 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Chris Godwin, 4 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown, with Leonard Fournette also adding 4 catches for 24 yards. Mete, getting to you on this Tampa Bay team, I mean, they're pretty much putting big numbers against every defense.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I mean, it totally makes sense as they have so many weapons. And I'm going to say that Gronkowski and Brady, they're looking like their old selves in New England. This is now the second straight week where Rob Gronkowski scores 2 touchdowns. So yeah, it looks like they're back playing in Foxborough at this point.
Yeah, looking really solid. Gronk leads the league in receiving touchdowns so far to start the season. If you drafted him anywhere outside the 10th round, you are doing great for yourself in terms of a sleeper tight end. He looked really solid in this game. Let's get to the Falcons now. Rough game. Matt Ryan still played decent. He did throw for 300 yards, but he did throw only 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, which isn't the best when you're turning the ball over more than you're scoring. But then getting to the rush game, Mike Davis, 9 carries, 38 yards. Cordell Patterson, 7 carries for 11 yards, but he did get that rushing touchdown. And then in terms of receiving, Kyle Pitts, 5 catches, 73 yards. Calvin Ridley, 7 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. And then Cordell Patterson, 5 catches, 58 yards and a touchdown, with Russell Gage having 5 catches for 28 yards and Mike Davis, 7 catches for 25 yards. Nate, getting to you on the Falcons. Rough start to the year. What do you think about this team?
Yeah, so I guess this team can be summarized as having a pretty solid offense, but their defense is something that I think they will need to improve on over the year and possibly next season as well. I mean, even in terms of offense, I think in the first and fourth quarter, they weren't really able to put anything on the board. And on the fourth quarter, they weren't, I think Tampa Bay ended up scoring 20 on them. So yeah, they weren't able to stop Tampa Bay or even slow them down, which is not a really good sign for Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, 2 of those touchdowns late were defensive touchdowns for the Bucs, so that really was not good on Atlanta's part. Yeah, when your quarterback's throwing multiple pick sixes, it doesn't help. But yeah, hopefully Atlanta will find a way to bounce back. I believe they have the Giants next week, so there might be a chance there. Getting to the next game, really close game here. This one went to overtime, actually. The Titans beating the Seattle Seahawks 33-30. Seahawks were up big in this game. Titans come back. Just looking at the stats, Ryan Tannehill, 347 passing yards for him. And then on the ground, he added 27 rush yards on 4 attempts. Derrick Henry, monster game on the ground, 35 carries, 182 rush yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. These are like some of the performances he had last year. He keeps going even this season. He also led them in receptions, 6 catches for 55 yards through the air for Henry. Julio Jones also adding 6 catches, 128 yards for him. His touchdown was taken off the board, but he still had a really solid day. Michael Pruitt, 3 catches, 43 yards. AJ Brown, 3 catches, also for 43 yards. And Jeremy McNichols adding 3 catches for 26 yards. Nate, I'll just get to you on the Titans. Big come from behind win for this team.
Yeah, it's really impressive that they were able to take the Seahawks to overtime, and they were able to, I guess, clutch out a win with a field goal. And I guess this is going to be even more of last year, where we keep saying if you can stop Derrick Henry, you have a chance. But how do you stop Derrick Henry? And this game was no exception. Derrick Henry played really, really well, looking like one of the best running backs in the league again. And now there's a lot of there's even more talent on the receiving end as well. So even if they manage to somehow slow Derrick Henry down, there's still a chance that they're still in the game. So I feel like the Titans, they're not a one-dimensional team anymore.
Yeah, but they're really going to have to put up a lot of points every week. Their defense is giving up over 30 points per game. So you saw in this game, they had to outscore what their defense gave up, which isn't good. So the defense is definitely going to have to improve. But let's get to the Seahawks now. Russell Wilson, solid game from him, 343 pass yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He also had 16 yards on the ground as well. Chris Carson rushing 13 times for 31 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. So good game for him. Then getting to the receiving, Tyler Lockett, another big game, 8 catches, 178 yards and a touchdown. Freddie Swain, 5 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 6 catches for 53 yards, and Travis Homer, 2 catches for 14 yards. I mean, Mete, this Seahawks team played well for like 2 or 3 quarters, and then it was pretty much the Derrick Henry show after that.
Yeah, they played well for 2 quarters, and then after halftime, it's just a completely different story as they get outscored 24-6. And so I feel like they had this game and they just let it slip away from them. Chris Carson needs to do a better job running. He only averaged 2.4 yards a carry. And yeah, I feel like you said, their defense is not the greatest. They're giving up a lot of points. So if they're not putting up 20 plus points, they don't really have a chance, in my opinion, to win games.
Yeah, you can probably say that about both of these teams, although Seattle was better last week. But yeah, both teams are 1-1 to start the season. I guess we'll see which direction these two teams are headed. I guess just going forward. Just moving on to the next game, Dallas Cowboys beating the LA Chargers 20-17. Close game, close win for the Cowboys. Just looking at the stats, Dak Prescott 237 passing yards, and he did throw an interception in this game. In terms of rushing, Tony Pollard, 13 carries, 109 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Big day for him. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown, so not too shabby from him. Then getting to receiving, CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches for 81 yards. He led this team. And then Blake Jarwin, 3 catches, 37 yards. Tony Pollard also adding 3 catches for 31 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 2 catches, 26 yards. And Amari Cooper, 3 catches, but only 24 yards. Mete, I'll get to you on your Dallas Cowboys. It was good that they got the win this week. I guess just what do you think of this team?
Yeah, I'm actually really happy with this game, and my confidence is growing every week with this team as for one, the defense is starting to play much better. Even though they are giving up a lot of yards, they're making big plays at right times, so that's great. And then yeah, like I said, I'm really happy because last week we throw around like 58 times with Dak. This week we only throw 27. So we're showing versatility. We can do it through the air, through the ground, and especially with Tony Pollard. Back in the days, Dallas would just force feed Zeke, even if he's getting like 2, 3 yards a carry. But now that we have Pollard, it's if Zeke isn't getting the job done, we just throw Pollard in there. And yeah, this guy's got skills as I feel like Zeke is on the hot seat now with him having a huge contract. I feel like if he has a bad year, he could get traded to free up a lot of cap space for the Cowboys, but that's really far down in the future. So for now, great team win. And yeah, I'm getting really confident with this group.
Yeah, both running backs are young. I don't think there's any reason to panic. I think both of them can play really well on this team. Just getting to the Chargers now, Justin Herbert threw for 338 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. And then in terms of rushing, Austin Eckler, 9 carries for 54 yards. And then Justin Jackson adding 4 carries, 421 yards. And then moving to receiving, Keenan Allen, 4 catches and 108 receiving yards. Mike Williams, 7 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Austin Eckler adding 9 catches for 61 yards. And then Jared Cook adding 3 catches for 28 yards. Nate, just getting to you on this Chargers team. They're 1-1 now. What do you think about this team?
I think this team is seems pretty good. Justin Herbert, he played really well. I think Austin Eckler, he could have done a little bit better. And I guess like overall, this is a team that they're playing like pretty well, but there's still like some room for improvement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think they've been underwhelming in terms of how much they can score. I know that they've sort of been in that range around 20 points, give or take a little bit more, a little bit less. They definitely need to increase their scoring if they want to beat some of these better teams, especially with teams like the Raiders and the Chiefs in their division going well over 25 points a game. So that's definitely something that needs to improve. But other than that, like you said, they haven't been too bad. Let's just move to the Sunday night game now. This was a huge game. Lots of points on the board. The Baltimore Ravens being the Kansas City Chiefs, 36-35. They went off of a fumble near the end and then a fourth down conversion. Really solid from this Ravens team. Looking at the stats here, Lamar Jackson threw for 239 yards and a passing touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions. I think both of them were pretty early in this game. He did settle down after a while. On the ground, though, 16 carries, 107 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns for Lamar Jackson. So really solid. Tyson Williams, 13 carries, 77 rushing yards. Then Latavius Murray had 9 carries for 36 yards and a rushing touchdown. And then getting to receiving, Marquise Hollywood Brown, 6 catches, 113 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Mark Andrews, 5 catches for 57 yards. Sammy Watkins, 4 catches for 44 yards. Nate, I'll get to you on the Ravens. A big win for this team.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Kansas City is a team that even when you're ahead of them, there's always a chance that they can come back. But Baltimore was also able to, I guess, they were able to score consistently across the entire game, which I think is really helpful. And I guess this is going to be another argument for them to make that they're currently the best team in their division right now.
Yeah, for sure. They did play really solid in this game. The Chiefs, I mean, they were winning and then the fumble happened, obviously, or they were going for that winning drive, I should say, and then it happened. Can't blame Patrick Mahomes for that, though. 343 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 13 carries for 46 yards. Obviously, it's going to be overshadowed by that fumble. And then Darrell Williams, he lost yardage, but somehow found the end zone. So he had 1 rushing touchdown in this game. And then in terms of receiving, Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown. Byron Pringle, 2 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. McCole Hardman, 5 catches for 55 yards. And Demarcus Robinson adding 3 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill was pretty quiet, only 3 catches for 14 yards. I guess Mete, could Hill have played a bit better? And maybe was that the reason why they lost this game?
Yeah, he definitely could have played better. I don't think he's the reason they lose. I feel like the Ravens, they just did a good job scouting him, locking him down. And yeah, I feel like the Chiefs had this game. They were up 11 in the fourth, kind of choked it away in my opinion. But yeah, a huge gutsy call by, what's his name? Why am I Harbaugh?
Harbaugh,
Yeah,
yeah.
why am I blanking right now? Yeah, Harbaugh, gutsy call by him to go for it on 4th and 1 there. They're basically, if they don't convert that, they're giving the Chiefs great field position. They're almost in field goal range. And so, yeah, that was a crazy play call. And if that doesn't work out, he could end up in like a YouTube video where it's NFL dumbest play calls or whatever. But yeah, good for him. It worked out. And yeah, Chiefs, I think they should have won this game. They kind of choked it.
Yeah, I think just to correct you there, I think they interviewed Harbaugh and he said that he asked Lamar Jackson what play he wanted to run there, whether he wanted to go for it or not. So I think it was Lamar Jackson's decision at the end. And yeah, when a coach has that much confidence in his quarterback, it's a pretty good thing to see. And of course, Lamar came through, which was nice also for this Baltimore team. One more game to finish week 2. And that was the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Packers just set things right this week. They won 35-17 over the Lions. Let's just get to the stats from Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, 255 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns, back to his usual self. In terms of rushing, Aaron Jones, 17 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown on the ground. AJ Dillon, 5 carries for 18 yards. And then through the air, Devontae Adams, 8 catches, 121 yards. Robert Tonyan, 3 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 6 catches, 48 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. So 4 in total for him, big game. And then Randall Cobb, 3 catches for 26 yards. Mete, I'll get to you on this Green Bay team. Yeah, they look right back to normal in this game.
Um, kind of. First half, they were actually losing. They were down 3, and then second half, they just completely blow out the Lions. Lions don't even score a point. So I feel like they're kind of back to normal in the sense that I don't know. I feel like they were actually better last season, especially last week was really a eye-opening performance for me where they get blown out. And due to them playing the Lions, I'm just not super confident in them right now. So we're gonna have to see how they do this week.
Yeah, I think you're right about them sort of settling down in the second half. I guess one thing to note, they've been without both Pro Bowl level players in David Bakhtiari and Zadarius Smith. So I mean, when two out of the best, like out of the 5 best players on your team are not playing, of course you might feel the effects of it. I think Green Bay has been feeling that, which is why they maybe haven't played as well as we expect. Hopefully, when those two come back, that this team will sort of reach their peak again. But I guess getting to the Lions, Jared Goff throws for 246 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. So not too bad for him. He also has 4 carries on the ground for 46 yards. I mean, he doesn't usually run, but he ran pretty well in this game. DeAndre Swift, 8 carries, 37 yards. And then Jamal Williams, 7 carries for 25 yards. Through the air, TJ Hawkinson, 8 catches, 66 yards and a touchdown. Quintez Cephas, 4 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 4 catches for 41 yards. And yeah, getting to you, Nate, on this Lions team, they were winning after the first half, and then it just sort of fell apart. What do you think about this team?
Um, I mean, this is still a rebuilding team, so these things are going to happen, but um, they are they're still like fighting hard. So it's good to know that they're still gonna try to win, even if the other team starts to pull ahead of them.
Yeah, for sure. This Lions team, they definitely look like they have more identity than last season. Jared Goff hasn't been too bad as well. I know people were clowning him after the trade, but honestly, he's looked pretty solid. He just, I guess, needs whether it's better pass protection or his receivers have to be there, whatever the case is with this Lions team, just hasn't been there. So yeah, hopefully they can play better moving forward. And that's the end of the recap for week 2. Let's get into some fantasy football pickups. We'll start with running backs. Mete, I'll get to you first. Who's your running back pickup for the week?
Yeah, for this week, I'd go with Alexander Madison. I feel like he'll be a great pickup if Cook ends up being hurt and he's not playing. I just read a report saying he didn't practice today, so it's kind of unclear if he's going to play or not, but Zimmer is saying that he's fully expecting him to play. So yeah, it's up in the air. If he does play, it's kind of a waste of an ad, but I feel like it's worth the risk right now because in deeper leagues, it's pretty much impossible to find a starting running back on the waiver wire. So Madison, I think last season or two seasons ago, he uh, fills in for Cook while he's hurt, and he played great. So yeah, I believe in him. I think he can have a great game if Cook isn't out there.
Yeah, great point. He's even a great guy to stash because we know Cook has had an injury history. I mean, with the same hairstyle, they look like the same player out there half the time, anyways. So, I mean, yeah, he almost doesn't miss a beat when he takes over. So, yeah, definitely a solid pickup. For running backs this week, I have James White. In PPR leagues, he should already be owned. Half point PPR, he's pretty solid. He's averaging over 10 fantasy points per game. He definitely should be in a flex spot in most leagues. You should be starting this guy, even if you have running back injuries, like maybe even start him at like RB2 or RB3 if you have an RB3 spot. Yeah, he's been really solid. for New England. He has a clear role. Of course, we didn't know that heading into the season with the running back room being full, but Bill Belichick wants to use him as the passing down back. So he's going to be on the field. He's getting a lot of looks. Mac Jones, we've seen he likes to do check downs. Definitely pick up this guy, put him into your lineup. He's going to be really solid. And Nate, just getting to you, who's your running back pickup for the week?
I guess running back pickup that I think that you can look at is Cordarrelle Patterson. He is dual eligible, and he had a really good week last week as well. The only thing is that a lot of people are taking him, so you're gonna want to make sure that you pick him up as fast as you can. I think even against Tampa Bay, he was able to get 21.4 fantasy points. So I'll if you have the chance.
Yeah, for sure. He seems to be one of those guys as well that, he has the defined role as sort of the pass catching guy. I mean, he's a wide receiver after all, he's a great pass catcher. So he has the elusiveness to play running back as well. So, I mean, if they're going to give him a clear role, even if he doesn't catch touchdowns, he seems to be getting a lot of work. So it's definitely something that you want to take a look at. And then I guess for other running backs you can look at here that we didn't mention, obviously Tony Pollard, if he's not owned, he had a big week. Definitely look at him. Other guys like JD McKissick, Michael Carter's getting a bigger role. And Zach Moss also had a big day. So definitely some other running backs you could take a look at. But let's get to wide receiver now. I guess Mete, who do you have for wide receiver pickup?
I've got Quintez Cephas from Detroit. Yeah. I mean, I think he's becoming Goff's favorite target and the wide receiver one in Detroit. He saw 6 targets week 1, 7 last week, and he has a touchdown in both games so far. So I think he's a solid pickup right now. Goff and the Lions, they're falling behind a lot in games and they're having to throw the ball a lot. So it definitely works out in Cephas's favor.
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned, Lions are going to be passing a lot. And if he's seeing as many looks as he was getting last game, then you definitely want to have him. I guess in standard leagues, he's definitely a bench player. Deeper leagues, you definitely want to start him as like a flex option. He should be pretty solid. I guess for wide receiver for me, I have Rondell Moore. He's just been so solid in his rookie year. He's had a nice breakout there when Kyler Murray's been willing to throw him the ball. I mean, the guy's just been putting up such solid stats. I mean, that deep, I think it was 77-yard touchdown he had this past week was sort of just the cherry on top of a really great season so far. I mean, he's had 13 targets in 2 games. So if you're getting at least 6 targets on average per game, you should be in almost every fantasy lineup from flex up. So in standard 12-team leagues, he's at least a flex option. Deeper than that, he's like wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 type thing for your team. So it's definitely a must add this week. He's definitely going to be over the 50% mark by the time this week is done. So you definitely want to take a look at him. But then Nate, let me just get to you for your wide receiver pickup of the week.
So I guess for wide receiver pickup, I have KJ Osborne for Minnesota. He's another player that I think I feel like his ownership is gonna go up pretty high as well, and he also had a really good game last week. So yeah, definitely pick him up if you have the chance.
Yeah, I mean, his ownership just shot up. Like it was under 5% rostered, and then it shot up to like the 20s in some leagues, and then into the 30s in other leagues. I mean, he's getting targets, he's putting up stats. I mean, this guy's been solid in half point PPR. He's had at least 11 fantasy points every game. So he's starter worthy, in my opinion. He's at least a flex option, definitely really solid. I guess other guys you can look at, Henry Ruggs, really solid. Darius Slayton, Hunter Renfrow, we talked about last week. You definitely should have added him. Emmanuel Sanders getting lots of targets. These are, I guess, just some guys that are under 50% rostered coming into this week. So you definitely want to take a look at them as well. And then just getting to quarterbacks now. Mete, I'll start with you. Who's your quarterback pickup for the week?
Yeah, so I have Quintez's teammate, Jared Goff. It's been solid for fantasy. And like I said, the fact that he's on the Lions helps him out as they're falling down a lot and they have to throw. And yeah, I know they don't have the greatest weapons, but like I said, he's already attempted 93 passes. So it's just under 50 attempts per game. So he's getting great volume and he also has some rushing upside. So that definitely helps him out as well.
Yeah, for sure. Goff has been really solid. I believe he's in the top 12 quarterbacks for fantasy in terms of points so far this season. My quarterback pickup for the week is also in the top 12, and that's Derek Carr. You can pretty much pencil him in for at least like 24 or more points every week so far. He's just been so solid. I mean, they look like they want to pass in this offense. So what's stopping him from hitting almost 400 yards every single week in his passing? He's throwing touchdowns. He's got guys like Ruggs, Waller, Renfro, and others. I mean, he's got guys to throw to. So why not take a look at him, especially if you're in a deeper league, super flex or two quarterback. Most likely, if you're in a two quarterback league, he's already owned, but maybe look at him for like standard and super flex leagues. Pretty much a must add in my opinion, especially if you had a Tua injury or another quarterback getting injured like Andy Dalton. Carr is another guy you can just look at. He should be really solid. And then I guess other quarterbacks that you can look at that we didn't talk about. There aren't a lot of names here, but I guess just looking at the guys that are available. There's not a lot here. Teddy Bridgewater, we mentioned him last week. Take a look at him. Sam Darnold's been surprisingly impressive. Look at him. I guess outside of that, I was going to say Tyrod Taylor, but it looks like he's not going to start this week because of injury. I guess those are other quarterbacks you can look at. Nate, getting to you, I guess just talk about tight ends. Who would be your pickup for the week?
I've got a couple of guys that I think you could look at. One is Max Williams from Arizona, and the other is Austin Hooper. I believe that Max Williams was targeted 7 times, and he caught the ball 7 times as well, got 94 yards, and that gave him about 12.9 fantasy points for half PPR. So I feel like he might not end up getting like the exact same amount of receptions, but it looks like he is getting targeted a healthy amount, especially for a tight end. And especially considering Arizona's offense is really high powered. Kyler Murray seems to share the ball with basically any position. So he should get plenty of exposure. And I guess for Austin Hooper, he's been playing pretty solid for tight ends as well. I think last week he got 6.5 fantasy points. His reception rate is really good as well. He pretty much almost always catches the ball when you pass to him. I guess his yardage is just kind of the only thing that's kind of holding him back. But I think for a tight end, you can still definitely take a look at him.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess some other guys you could look at. Jared Cook. I think Evan Ingram might be coming back from injury, so I guess keep an eye on him. Jack Doyle was pretty decent. And also you can look at Dawson Knox, I guess, in deeper leagues. And I guess that's pretty much what we have in terms of pickups. And let's just hop right into the preview for week 3. There's a lot of big games on the slate this week. I definitely want to talk about those. Mete, I'll start with you on the Thursday game, Carolina versus Houston. I guess talk about the fantasy options for this game.
All right, so I'll start with the Carolina Panthers. I think you should start Sam Darnold if you're in a deeper league and your quarterback one has a rough matchup, like James said. It's off to a pretty good start, actually. So definitely look at him if you're in a tough situation for quarterback. Christian McCaffrey, definitely all leagues. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and I think Carolina defense you could start as well. They've been off to a great start and they get to play the Texans without Tyrod Taylor. So I think this is a good matchup for them. And then For Houston, I only have one guy, and that's Brandon Cooks. Other guys, I'm just having a tough time trusting right now, especially with Tyrod going down. If Tyrod was there, I would definitely start more players, but without him, Texans didn't look the greatest, so it's kind of hard to trust them right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Brandon Cooks is the most consistent player on this team. So if you have him, you're going to roll him into your lineup. But outside of that, I guess we'll avoid everyone there. I'm looking at the spread for this game. The Panthers are favored by 8 points. I'll just start with you, Mete. Would you take the Panthers -8, or do you like the Texans at +8?
Yeah, so my prediction was Carolina by 2 scores, and -8 fits that. So I take Carolina at -8.
And then Nate, getting to you, which side would you take here?
I guess you could take Carolina. Their defense has been really good, and their offense is pretty good as well. And with Tyrod Taylor out, it's going to be hard to see how Houston generates their offense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know -8 is more than one score. I still think we can trust this Panthers team considering how well their defense has been playing. The offense hasn't been too shabby either. The only thing that concerns me is that they haven't put up over 20 points in any of their 2 wins. So if the Texans somehow make this a game, that could be tough, that -8. But yeah, I think the Panthers are good enough to hold them off, especially with Davis Mills playing quarterback. So yeah, I like them at -8. Let's move on to the next game. Baltimore against Detroit. I guess, Nate, I'll give this one to you. Give us the fantasy options for this game.
Baltimore has quite a bit of options that you can take a look at. Lamar Jackson, starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. If you have him, you most likely drafted him at a high position, so you're going to be starting him. Tyson Williams, he's the starting running back as of right now, so you can start him as well. Marquise Brown, he normally gets a really high amount of fantasy points, but he does have a knee issue, so that's something to kind of, I guess, monitor until the game starts. Sammy Watkins, he's been really good as well. And Latavius Murray, you can also start in maybe deeper leagues, or if you like having wide receivers and flex positions, you could have him as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then for Detroit?
For Detroit, it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe you could have Jared Goff if you're in like a really deep league. DeAndre Swift, he has a groin injury, so I'm not really too sure about starting him. You might want to start Jamal Williams if DeAndre Swift is unable to play the full game. TJ Hawkinson, I feel like he's going to be pretty good. And I guess Quintez Cephas.
Yeah, we mentioned Cephas for the pickup, so he's probably startable now the way he's been playing. Just getting to the spread on this game, the Ravens are favored by -7.5. I guess starting with you, Nate, where would you go here? Would you go Ravens or would you go Lions +7.5?
I feel like this is more or less a score, but it's also like 7.5. So there is a chance that it ends up just being a 1-score game, but I feel like the Ravens should be able to make this maybe a little bit over a score, like maybe a score and a field goal or something. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
Yeah, I think you have to take the Ravens here after how they played last week. They're going to have a lot of confidence. This Lions team, it's just been really tough for them early on. So I think I will take the Ravens -7.5. But Mete, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. 7.5, they should definitely cover that. I mean, the Lions aren't looking too hot and they're coming off a rough week 2, so Ravens.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely looking really solid for the Ravens after last game. Just getting to the next game, New England Patriots against the New Orleans Saints. I'll just talk about this game. For the Patriots, people I'd start in fantasy. Damian Harris, he's the lead back there. You got to start him. Jacoby Myers is the main receiver for this team. You probably want to start him as well. I'd probably look at James White also as sort of like a flex option. He's been really solid every game. And you might want to look Nelson Aguilar's way as he's their main deep threat receiver. I guess guys that I'd probably sit or maybe only start in deep leagues is like Mac Jones, Jonnu Smith, and Hunter Henry. They all haven't been trustworthy yet for fantasy, so I'd probably just wait on them. And then for the Saints, my only start would be Alvin Kamara. This team needs to be more consistent in terms of offense for me to start anyone else. In deep leagues, you could start Jameis Winston. He should bounce back. Maybe Marquez Callaway, Adam Trotman, or Juwan Johnson, but definitely keep an eye on those guys. For the spread for this game, it looks like the Patriots are favored by 2.5 points. I mean, the Patriots are my team. I got to roll with them. They're at home, 2.5. Yeah, I got to take them. I just think that they're playing well, and I think that they can win this game. Nate, getting to you. Do you like the Patriots minus 2.5, or do you like the Saints at plus 2.5?
I think 2.5 is very doable for the Patriots. You basically just have to get a field goal and you win. So might as well take the Patriots.
Yeah, I wasn't fully sold on the Patriots being able to dominate after week 1, but after week 2, I definitely feel more impressed with them. Mete, what do you think about this game? Which way is it going to go?
I'm having a hard time right now. I feel like the Patriots, they've been okay. I think there's they played in two kind of low scoring games, so I'm kind of worried. So I think I would actually go with the Saints. I think they get their coaches back and they should have a better week.
Honestly, when you're picking 2.5, when it's less than a score, you're pretty much picking the winner of the game at that point. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're picking the games. All right, moving to the next game. Let's get to Washington against Buffalo. Mete, I'll get to you for this one. I guess give us the fantasy preview for this matchup.
All right, so for the football team, I'd start Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, and Logan Thomas. I think Heineke might be worth a look if you have a rough matchup for your quarterback and if you're in a deeper league, but I'm just scared of Buffalo's defense right now. I think they've looked great for the first 2 weeks, so you got to be cautious with Heineke, I think. So these three guys, they're the main guys for Washington, and that's why I'm confident in them. And for Buffalo, I'm going Josh Allen, Devin Singletary at flex, or even running back 2 at this point. He's playing great. And Stephon Diggs, obviously, and then I think Cole Beasley. For deeper leagues, for sure. Shallow leagues, maybe flex, as I feel like he's Allen's one of Allen's favorite targets. And then yeah, that's it for the fantasy starters.
All right, for sure. And just getting to the spread for this game, the Bills are favored by 7.5 points. It's these spreads that are really tough. Mete, which side are you looking at here?
Wait, sorry, what did you say the spread?
7.5 for Buffalo.
Ooh, I think that's a bit too high for me, so I would go Washington. I think it should be a one-score game.
Yeah, well, all of Washington's matchups this year have been really close. They've all been within 7. So if you like Washington, definitely take them at plus 7.5 right now. I guess Nate, what about you? Do you like Washington here, or do you like Buffalo to cover?
I kind of like Washington to cover. Buffalo should still be able to win, but we saw with the Steelers in week 1, if you give Josh Allen enough pressure, you can actually slow him down a little bit. And Washington definitely has a defense to try to give Josh Allen some pressure. So it should be around a one-score game. So yeah, Washington can cover.
Yeah, I believe Josh Allen has the most incomplete passes thrown this season. So he's had a really tough time completing passes. The only reason they won last week is because Miami couldn't put up any points on the board. He definitely needs to do a better job, I guess, watching how he throws the football. Buffalo should win. They're at home. I think that's probably the main reason why I would take them to win this game. But yeah, in terms of covering, I definitely like Washington also. Just moving to the next game, Arizona against Jacksonville. Nate, I'll get to you for the fantasy preview on this one.
So for Arizona, a lot of players that you can think about starting. Kyler Murray, you're gonna want to start him if you have him on your roster. Chase Edmonds, James Conner, maybe in like deeper leagues or in a flex position. DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, and Max Williams. I think they should all get enough targets to be able to be productive in fantasy. And I think for Jacksonville, it's a little tough with how they've been doing. So I guess James Robinson and Marvin Jones Jr., I feel like they're kind of like the safest. And then you can maybe think about Trevor Lawrence, DJ Chark. LaVisca Chenault only in deep leagues for now. And yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. The only thing I have in terms of an issue is if the Cardinals go up by a lot, they might stop passing the ball. So I might lower some of the ceilings from their pass catchers. Honestly, in terms of this game, you got to start them all, and hopefully yours is the right one that ends up making all the catches. Hopkins probably the safest outside of that, but yeah, I definitely agree with you there. In terms of spread for this game, Cardinals are favored by 7.5 points. Nate, where are you going here?
I feel like the Cardinals should be able to beat Jacksonville by at least like 8 or more, simply because of how good their offense is. And the Cardinals defense is actually pretty good. They might actually be able to slow down Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson. So yeah, I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah, Mete, which way are you looking here?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Nathan. I think Jaguars, they haven't had the greatest start, so it's kind of hard to trust them right now. Even though it's 7.5, I think Cardinals should cover that.
Yeah, you said pretty much what I was going to say. I just really can't trust the Jaguars right now. They're just that kind of team where I need to see it before I believe it, and I don't believe it right now. So definitely Cardinals minus 7.5 looks like the play here. Moving on to the next game, a division game, Tennessee Titans against the Indianapolis Colts. I'll just cover the fantasy for this game. In terms of the Titan players you should start, I think you have to go back to the well with Ryan Tannehill. I know most people drafted him as their QB1. This is probably the last week I would go to the well with him as your starter. If he doesn't play well this week, then maybe you might want to look to make a trade for another quarterback or go to the waiver wire. So definitely start him. Start Julio Jones and AJ Brown. Brown had a rough week last week, but he should bounce back. Derrick Henry, that's a no-brainer. He's probably your first pick. You're starting him anyways. Big game last week as well. Guys that you might want to sit or start in deeper leagues like Chester Rogers, Anthony Ferkser. Outside of that, probably don't start anyone else. And then for Indianapolis Colts, if Carson Wentz plays, you definitely want to start him. He's looked really solid so far. I know we had questions coming into week 1, but he has looked like a good player. He's been putting up close to 20 points in half PPR leagues. So yeah, that's definitely a start for me. And if he does play, you're starting Michael Pittman, who's the wide receiver 1 there. You're starting Jonathan Taylor, and you probably want to start Nyheim Hines as well. Although he had a bad week last week, he's definitely a guy that's getting a lot of looks. And then in deep leagues or guys that maybe you wouldn't want to start, Jack Doyle, Paris Campbell, Zach Pascal, the targets are sort of spread around those 3 guys. Campbell didn't play last week, so it was a bit better for Doyle. If Campbell doesn't play this week, maybe you might want to start Doyle, but I guess these guys maybe only in deeper leagues. And then in terms of the prediction for this matchup, the Titans are favored by 5 points. If Carson Wentz plays, I'm taking the Colts. The Colts have been in close games every week. Yeah, I definitely think they can win this game if Wentz plays, because the Titans, their defense has been up and down, giving up over 30 points every week. So I think the only condition with me taking the Colts +5 is that Carson Wentz has to play. But I guess, Nate, getting to you, which way are you going here?
I feel like it's kind of like what you said. It's going to come down to offense. So even when it comes down to offense, I feel like the Titans would be able to score at I guess, a faster pace than the Colts can, and maybe at like a fast enough pace that they might end up being like around 6 or something. So I'll go with the Titans.
All right, getting to you, Mete. Which side are you on here?
I like what you said about if Wentz plays. I totally agree with you. I think if Wentz plays, they cover this, but if he doesn't play, I don't think they have a chance, and I don't think they could keep up with the Titans offense. So basically it's all riding on Wentz. If he plays, take Colts. If not, I take Titans.
I mean, the Colts opened up as 1-point favorites in this matchup, and then the line immediately shifted to the Titans being favored by 5. If Wentz doesn't play, I think that line could climb even higher to maybe like 8.5, 9, something like that. So if you like the Titans, best to take them now before Wentz is ruled out. And if you like the Colts, yeah, probably just wait a little bit and see, and then maybe the line will get a bit more favorable for you. But yeah, as of right now, I guess we're all on different sides here. So definitely a tough game to predict for sure. Getting to the next game, the LA Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs. Mete, I'll give that game to you. Break down the fantasy.
All right, so for the Chargers, I'm starting Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. I think those 4 are the most trustworthy right now in the Chargers. And then for Kansas City, I'd go Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know he's off to a rough start right now, but he's got so much skill. I think he can bounce back, especially with the way the Cowboys ran on the Chargers. So I think he can have a good week running the ball. Travis Kelce for sure, and then Tyreek Hill. He also had a rough week, but should rebound.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess just looking at this game, just taking a look at the spread here. The spread right now is -6.5 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mete, where are you going here?
6.5. Ooh, that's close. I feel like Kansas City wins by 1 score. It just depends on if they win by a touchdown or a field goal, and this is really hard. I think I'd just go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they come out pissed off, choking away that game, and so they should have a good week this week.
All right, Nate, getting to you. Are you on the Chiefs -6.5, or do you like the Chargers at +6.5?
I want to say that the Chargers have a chance, but at the same time, the Chargers have had problems kind of generating offense, even with how good they are on paper. And Kansas City is KC Nation, so they're gonna find a way to I guess pull something out. So I'll go with KC.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go on the other side here. Give me the Chargers with the points +6.5. Kansas City, they've been winning games, they've been winning them close, or they just lose outright and they can't seem to cover on a consistent basis. Chargers, they have 2 close games. One was a win, one was a loss. So if this game's close, which it should be because it's a divisional game, I think I'll be okay taking the Chargers here with the points. So at least I can be different in that sense. Nate, getting to you, your Cleveland Browns are facing the Chicago Bears. I guess break down, I guess the fantasy preview for that.
I guess for a Cleveland side, there's quite a bit of players that you might want to look at. Some players are injured, for example, Jarvis Landry. But there's still some other players that you can take a look at, like Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I believe Odell is going to be starting. So if you have Odell, you can definitely start him for this game. Anthony Schwartz, he did pretty well last week, I believe. So there's a chance that they end up giving him some targets. Maybe Rashard Higgins in like a deeper league, Austin Hooper. Baker Mayfield, I feel like if you have him only in like a deep league, and if you kind of have no one else because he hasn't really been able to get over 20 points, but it kind of depends on your your confidence in Baker Mayfield. And I guess for Chicago, I guess the safest players to start would be like maybe David Montgomery or Allen Robinson. Other than that, it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe Rashad Perriman in deeper leagues. Justin Fields, it's really hard to predict how well he's going to play. So only in deep leagues. Other than that, I wouldn't start him.
What about guys like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet? Any interest in standard leagues or deep leagues?
I guess maybe you could start Darnell Mooney. Cole Kmet, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, for sure. We don't know where the targets are going. We don't know how well Justin Fields is going to throw the ball. I think you're right in saying Allen Robinson, probably the main pass catcher. Yeah, you could look at Mooney, and then also Montgomery's pretty solid as well. Looking at the lines for this game, Browns are at home. They're favored by 7. Nate, which way are you going here?
I guess I do like the Browns, so I will say that they're gonna win. I think Chicago's defense is also really good, just like Cleveland's is. So I feel like it might end up being a lower scoring game. So if that ends up being the case, then Chicago might end up covering.
All right, Mete, getting to you. How do you feel about this spread?
It's -7, right?
Yeah, for the Browns.
Okay, so I think I'd go with the Browns. Fields had a rough time filling in for Dalton, so not fully confident in him yet. And yeah, that's why I'd go with the Browns.
Yeah, honestly, I think this game only has like 2 ways it can go. Either Cleveland's just going to blow them out of the water, or it's going to be a close game. You know, Fields is going to keep them in it. So I think you're safest with going with the Browns here, to be honest. I don't think the Browns lose this game. If they lose it, it's going to come down to the wire, meaning if it's tied and they score a touchdown, the Browns would, I guess, push on the spread, and depending on what you take it at. But yeah, I think I would lean towards the Browns here, but it like you said, it could be a lower scoring game, so you definitely want to look out for that. Getting to the next game, New York Giants against the Atlanta Falcons. Let me break this one down here for fantasy. For the Giants, it looks like Daniel Jones is playing well enough for you to potentially start him. Deep leagues is a must start. Shallow leagues definitely depends on which other quarterbacks you have, but I've liked what he's done so far. He can rush as well, which is solid. So even if his passing game isn't as strong, this will be getting a good floor of points for you. So you can definitely look at him. I guess in terms of other players, Saquon Barkley, you drafted him early, so you're going to start him regardless for the most part. Sterling Shepard, number 1 receiver, you should start him. Kenny Galladay's getting the targets. He just needs that big game to break out. This could be the game against Atlanta, so you might want to start him as well. I guess for deep leagues or guys that you should probably sit, Darius Slayton, he's that deep threat target that doesn't get a lot of targets. He did find the end zone last game, but if he doesn't find the end zone, he's probably going to bust for you this week. So probably only start him in deeper leagues. And then Kyle Rudolph, you definitely don't want to start him just in case Evan Ingram comes back. He'll lose all of his fantasy value. So yeah, probably for both tight ends, you probably want to sit them this week. Getting to the Falcons, Calvin Ridley, obviously he's probably your number 1 receiver in fantasy. You're going to start him. Kyle Pitts, he's probably your starting tight end. They're both getting lots of targets. Start both of them. And I like Cordell Patterson. I think you could probably start him as well, whether you want to start him at wide receiver or running back, depending on your league. Yeah, he's looked really solid so far. He's getting targets in the passing game and rush attempts. So I like that. I guess for deeper leagues or guys you want to sit, Mike Davis, it just depends on who you have at running back, to be honest. If you have other options, probably sit him. Matt Ryan, very inconsistent to start the year, so probably only start him in deeper leagues. And then Russell Gage and Hayden Hurst are pretty much sits for me at this point. Getting to the spread for this game, it is -3 for the Giants. I might just take the Giants at home. I like them to win. They've got shafted 2 games in a row. It's time for a bounce back for them, in my opinion. But I guess, Mete, what are your thoughts on this game?
Actually, I'm thinking opposite of you. I feel like the Falcons are gonna win, and having them plus is huge for the spread. So yeah, I think I'd go Falcons here actually.
All right, Nate, getting to you. Break the tie. Giants -3 or Falcons +3?
That's actually really hard. I feel like this is kind of like a toss up. So I guess I'll go with the Falcons on this.
Yeah, I guess any thoughts on, I guess, this Falcons team?
I mean, it's gonna pretty much come down to can their offense make up for how many points that their defense is gonna give up pretty much. So Matt Ryan is gonna have to sling the ball a lot in order to, I guess, win.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be a game that could go either way. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Getting to the next game, Cincinnati Bengals against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mete, break down the fantasy for that.
All right, so starting with the Cincinnati Bengals, start Joe Mixon, start Jamar Chase. He's off to a great start to his rookie campaign. T. Higgins looks like the second favorite target in Cincinnati right now. And then I'd go Tyler Boyd if you're in a deeper league. He had a rough week 1, but kind of rebounded week 2. So yeah, if you're in a deeper league, you could look at Boyd. Pittsburgh, Najee Harris, not the greatest start for him, but still, you probably drafted him as a running back 1 or 2. So you kind of got to start him, especially against Cincinnati. I think it's a good matchup for him. Juju, a lot of hate for him due to his TikTok antics, but he's off to a pretty good start this season. So look at Juju, Chase Claypool. Again, I think this is a good matchup for the Steelers. So that's why I'm kind of rolling out a couple of these wide receivers. Claypool, another one of those guys. He's kind of a big deep ball threat, but yeah, I think he could have a good game. And then Deontay Johnson looks like the wide receiver 1 in Pittsburgh. He's seeing, I don't know how many targets, a lot of
I
targets
think
right now.
10 per game or something
Yeah,
like that.
he's
Yeah.
seeing a lot. So yeah, if he's seeing double-digit targets, you definitely got to start him. And then Steelers defense, one of the best defenses in the league against a young offense. I think they can have a good day.
And then any quarterbacks from either of these two teams?
For Burrow, I'm just concerned. He had a rough game last week, and then, like I said, Steelers defense is one of the best in the league. And then Roethlisberger, he's kind of getting up there in age. He hasn't looked like the Roethlisberger we know. So yeah, it's kind of hard trusting him as well.
Yeah, it might even be a lower scoring game overall, as we've seen for a lot of Pittsburgh games. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Steelers are only favored by 3 points over the Bengals. Mete, which way are you looking here?
I think Steelers win by 1 score. That's my prediction. And -3, they only have to win by 4 or more. So I think I'd go with the Steelers here.
All right, getting to you, Nate. Who do you like in this game? Steelers -3 or Bengals +3?
I kind of like Steelers -3, mainly because their defense might end up being able to slow down Cincinnati.
Honestly, I think for this game, I'm going to take a look at the injury report before I pick any of these two teams. If Pittsburgh's out a lot of defensive players again, I actually think the Bengals have a chance to win this game, especially if TJ Watt and guys like Tuitt and other guys that normally put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, if they're not playing, that'll definitely open up a lot more looks for Joe Burrow to sort of sling the rock, and maybe the Bengals could win it because the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't been scoring a lot of points. They win low scoring games. That's how they do it. They've always done it like that. Right now, I would say Steelers -3, but that's just depending on the injury report that comes out. Definitely want to take a look at that for sure. Getting to the next game, Nate, I'll jump to you. Miami against the Vegas Raiders. I guess break down this matchup for fantasy.
So I guess for Miami, Tua is injured, so you're not gonna want to start him. Jacoby Brissett, I'm not really too sure about how well he's going to perform, so I would sit him as well. And I guess for the wide receivers, you could maybe start Devontae Parker. You might end up being able to start Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller as well. And Mike Gesicki, unfortunately, even though I think he is really talented, and I feel like if he ended up getting more targets, he'd be really good, but he hasn't really been getting the targets to kind of generate the points. So I would kind of stay away from him for now. And for Las Vegas, Derek Carr's been playing really well. So if you have him, you can definitely start him. Josh Jacobs, he's really good as well. Darren Waller, you're definitely going to want to start him as he's one of the best tight ends in the league right now. Henry Ruggs III, you can start him as well. And I guess Brian Edwards in deep leagues.
Yeah, for sure. This is a matchup. I mean, even so far this year, the Raiders, they've been putting up good stats against every team. So this is another matchup where they could definitely do so. Raiders are favored -4 in this matchup. Which way are you leaning, Nate?
I kind of like the Raiders on this. I feel like they've been playing against really good teams and they've been competitive against them. So they should at least be able to be more than competitive against Miami.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would have maybe taken the Dolphins here, whether Tua or no Tua. But the only problem is this game's in Las Vegas, and the Raiders, they just seem to play really well at home behind that crowd and that big stadium. So yeah, I will take the Raiders -4 as well. And then just bouncing to you, Mete, which side would you like?
Yeah, -4 for Raiders seems like free money here. Without Tua, I don't think the Dolphins, I don't think they're gonna have a good time against the Raiders. So yeah, Raiders.
Yeah, I think we have pretty strong consensus here in terms of this game. Just moving to the next game, the New York Jets against the Denver Broncos. I'll break this one down for fantasy. I guess starting with the Jets, probably the only guy you could start once again is Corey Davis. He didn't have a great game last week, but he sort of was shadowed by guys like JC Jackson and those Patriots corners. He does get targeted in this offense, so you got to roll him out because he probably is going to get points. And if there's someone that's going to score a touchdown for this team, it's probably going to be him, like we saw in week 1. Outside of that, you're probably sitting or maybe starting in deep leagues. Braxton Berrios, Elijah Moore, Ty Johnson, Zach Wilson, Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman. Like, honestly, there's just a bunch of names here. You're probably not going to start most of these guys. Then getting to Denver, this is a prime matchup for them. You're starting almost everyone. Teddy Bridgewater has been great. Both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams have been getting rushing attempts, so you want to start both of them. Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and Noah Fant seem to be fantasy relevant, so I like them as well. Probably the only sit I'd have from this team is KJ Hamler, just because they don't feel like giving him most of the targets. So, yeah, that's how I see this game for fantasy. Just moving to the spread, Broncos are favored by 10. This is a lot. The line opened at -5.5. They're favored by 10. This is really tough. Yeah, I honestly don't know which way to go on this. I'm tempted to go with Denver, but that is a lot of points. They don't score a whole lot usually. Yeah, I think I might lean towards the Broncos, but this is probably a stay away game for me for the most part. I don't know, Mete, what do you think about this?
Yeah, you're definitely right. The Broncos haven't been putting up too many points. -10 is a lot, so maybe Jets, honestly, but yeah, stay away if you can.
And then Nate, just getting to you, break the tie. Which side would you take here?
This is definitely a stay away game. Either choice, it feels like you're taking a little bit of risk because like pretty much anything can happen. And I feel like they're anticipating kind of a 10-point lead from Denver, mainly because of how poorly the Jets have been playing and how good Denver's offense is. So how good Denver's defense is. So I guess if you like the combination of Denver's defense and New York struggling to kind of generate offense, maybe you can go with the Broncos.
Yeah, I think that play is sort of based off of last week where the Jets just struggled to get any offense going against New England. It's just interception after interception. I mean, the Broncos have guys in their secondary, Pat Surtain, they have Justin Simmons. Like there's a whole list of guys that can get interceptions for this team. Might be a similar look, but then maybe Zach Wilson finds it in the second half and maybe they put up some points. Like it could just go any way. So yeah, I definitely would recommend to stay away unless there's an injury report and certain guys get ruled out, then might tilt it one way or another. But I guess just getting to the next game, Mete, I'll get to you. Seattle against Minnesota. Break it down for fantasy.
All right, so I'll start with the Seahawks. I'm going to start Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. Outside of those guys, I don't have the biggest confidence in the team. And so for Minnesota, I'd go Kirk Cousins, especially if your quarterback has a rough matchup. He's off to a really good start. Dalvin Cook, if he plays, if not, Alexander Madison. Like I said, for the pickups, he had great games filling in for Cook in prior seasons. So I've got confidence in Madison. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and then KJ Osborne. Deeper leagues for sure. I think he's becoming Cousins' favorite target as he's seeing a lot of targets last 2 weeks. So yeah, definitely KJ Osborne.
Yeah, for sure. And just moving to the spread now, the Seahawks are favored by -1.5. Which way are you looking here?
1.5. I think that's really good value for Seattle. I feel like they should win this game, so I'm going with Seattle.
Nate, what about you? Which side are you on here?
This is pretty much a coin flip game. I think either team could win. Minnesota, they've been on a little bit of a losing streak. I feel like they have to break their streak eventually. Is it going to be against the Seahawks? That's kind of a tough order. So I guess maybe I'll go with the Seahawks.
This is a coin flip game. The only problem is the Vikings have been on the wrong side of the coin for the first 2 weeks of the season. I would lean with the Vikings, but the only thing I have to think about is Seattle's in a tough division. If they go to 1-2, their chances of making the playoffs really thin out. I feel like the Seahawks know the weight of this game, so I feel like the Seahawks will pull it out -1.5. I like that. Moving to the next game, Tampa Bay against the LA Rams. Nate, I'll get to you for the fantasy breakdown.
So this is another, I guess, another game with a lot of players that you can think about starting. Tom Brady, starting quarterback for Tampa Bay, slings the ball, really good pocket passer, so definitely start him. Leonard Fournette, it looks like he's getting most of the carries, so you can go ahead and start him. I guess Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Rob Gronkowski, they've been getting a lot of targets. They've been getting a lot of fantasy points as well. Ronald Jones, I didn't put him on the list mainly because of the lack of carries that he's been getting. It looks like Fournette's been getting the majority of the carries, and Ronald Jones hasn't been able to generate enough points with the carries that he's been getting. So I would sit him for this week if you have him. And I guess for the Rams, you can look at Matthew Stafford. He's been playing really well. So you can definitely start him. Darrell Henderson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, maybe in just in deep leagues.
Yeah, for sure. This should be a high scoring game. The Bucks are favored by 1 point. This is pretty much a pick 'em. Nate, which side of the pick 'em are you on?
This is kind of tough. I guess I'll have to go with the defending champs.
What about you, Mete? Which team do you like?
Yeah, rough one, tough call, but it's hard to pick against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'd probably be leaning the same way. It just looks like a game that I mean, we know that Brady's going to New England the week after, so he definitely wants to show up with that 3-0 record. And he looks unbelievable. 5 passing touchdowns in his last game. So yeah, I would lean with the Buccaneers. Moving to Sunday night, Green Bay against San Francisco. I'll break down the fantasy for this. I think for Green Bay, you got to roll out Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and Robert Tonyan. Those are 4 guys that are must starts. Then I guess guys you could sit or in deeper leagues, AJ Dillon, Randall Cobb, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You might not want to start them outside of deep leagues. Then for the 49ers, the safe guys are George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and then their running back carousel is interesting because they all have injuries, but whichever one gets the start between Jermichael Hasty, Trey Sermon, and Eli Mitchell, you got to roll them out. They can definitely run on this Green Bay rush defense that hasn't been really good. And then guys you should probably sit or only start in deep leagues, Jimmy Garoppolo. And until Brandon Ayuk proves something, you definitely got to sit him for now. Getting to this game in terms of picks, looking at the spread, the 49ers are favored by 3.5. I feel like this is a coin flip game, so I'll take Green Bay, I guess, plus 3.5, get the plus points on this one. So that even if the 49ers do win, there's a chance that Green Bay covers. But I guess, Nate, what are your thoughts?
I guess you could go with Green Bay, even though San Francisco has really good defense. Aaron Rodgers, he's been around the block. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, so he's gonna find a way to do something against San Francisco.
All right, Mete, getting to you. Which side do you like?
Yeah, I think I'd go with the Packers as well. It's just a really good defense against a really good offense, and so yeah, it's gonna come down to that. But since the Packers are plus, I like that. I feel like they should win this game, so I'd go with them.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Plus points is good in this game since it's going to be a toss-up, so we definitely like that. And then getting to the Monday night game, Mete, it's your Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. Break down this game for fantasy.
Okay, so for the Cowboys, I'm starting Dak, going Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper if he plays. Right now, his status is up in the air. Tony Pollard, I think, could be a good flex option in deeper leagues. He showed what he could do last week. And then Cowboys defense, I think, could also be a play here. They lead the league right now in takeaways with 6. And like I said, they give up a lot of yards, but they're making plays and big plays when they have to. So it's really encouraging to see that. And then for Philadelphia, kind of hard trusting them right now. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, you could start, and then Dallas Goedert. Outside of those 3 guys, I don't have the most confidence in the Eagles offense right now.
Yeah, that's understandable. We definitely have to see more from them before we can trust them. Getting to the spread, the Cowboys are favored by 3.5 points. I assume you're going to be rolling with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would take that. I think it should be a 1-score game, and for them to win by 6 or 7, they would cover. So yeah, I'd roll with that.
Yeah, normally I would play the Eagles here, it being a divisional game plus 3.5, but the Cowboys are at home. I definitely think that they can take this by at least a touchdown. So I do like Dallas. Nate, which way are you leaning?
I guess you could lean with Dallas Cowboys, especially if Dak Prescott ends up playing like it's the fourth quarter the whole game.
Yeah, he definitely has to do that. But yeah, I definitely see a path for Dallas to win this game. And yeah, that's pretty much the preview for week 3. Definitely a lot of exciting games on the board. All 3 of our teams bounced back this week, got wins. So our 3 teams, the Browns, the Cowboys, and the Patriots are all 1-1. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of this Fanatics football episode. Make sure you check us out on Instagram and Twitter at FanFan Podcast. We've been posting picks. We had a pretty good run this past week, so definitely you want to get our picks for sure. Check out this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for notifications on YouTube, leave us a review, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to week 3. This football season's been great so far. And we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.